Been here working on for 24 years.
Up next, we have John Asprin.
What's up, everyone? Hi, my name is John Asprin, and I am a creative designer here at Knott's Berry Farm, and I've been with the farm for the last 10 years. So.
And at the end, we have Karen Grimes.
Hello! My name is Karen Grimes, and I am an associate show director and choreographer, and I have been with Knott's Berry Farm for the last 10 years as well.
And I will be your host today. My name is Pasta Berkey, and I have been with Knott's Berry Farm for about 19 years now. So, and thank you guys for joining us. So as you know, there's a lot of different people who go into Knott's Berry Farm. So what we're going to talk about, John, is when we are creating these nightmares that we are bringing the guests, tell us a little bit about the process of what it comes down to and how you get started.
Man, it's kind of crazy because I think I could speak on behalf of everyone up here. Like we're all fans of the event, right? So I think we start as early as the ideas start coming in, right? It's very organic, and the beautiful thing about Knott's is that there's such a wonderful approach to certain things, especially when it comes to the creative side of things. You know, we're usually behind the scenes and we're kind of thinking about what to do for Scary Farm, and we're almost looking at a bigger picture of things, right? And I think over the years it's sort of evolved to where now it's as opposed to looking at like a standalone idea like a maze or a scare zone. I think the beautiful thing is that it's kind of sort of evolved into where we're looking at a larger narrative of sorts. And the process for us starts as early as a few years before we actually are ready to roll it out. There's some ideas that, we have these things called like pitch sessions in which all the creatives, myself, Karen included, along with our directors, our writers, our other designers. So, the creative team really consists of 8 or 9 of us, right? Where we're all just sort of meet numerous times throughout the year, but when we're running our pitches, it's usually around this time where we're pitching for next year. Now, what we have usually when it comes down to the mazes that you see roll out, like Widows or 8 Fingers 9, which are you guys excited about that? Yeah! Sometimes those ideas are usually 3 or 4 years ago. Funny thing is like Bloodline was a pitch that we had maybe 4 years before we rolled it out, and it's those types of things to where it gets refined over the years, but the process is pretty fun because when we go through this, it's such a collaborative effort. I mean, the spirit of collaboration within our team is really nice. We're not very much in silos, working alone. We get a chance to regularly talk and refine these ideas, and by the end of the process, what started off as just like a general log line or like a 1-sentence or a 3-sentence description of our ideas, it then just grows into fruition to this incredible idea that either takes the form of a maze, a scare zone, or one of the shows, right? It's a bit of a process, right?
So Karen, when you're writing a show, how long do you think it takes to from pitch to end, about how long do you think it takes to create a show?
I would say about a year. We, as John said, come to the table, and we are really lucky in the fact that some of these people, they have got some incredible ideas, not only that they want to bring, but also they have this great knowledge of what has come before us. So when we get to sit down at the table, it is sometimes about a year out where we are putting together our ideas of how to integrate show elements in so many ways. You've seen show moments come into scare zones like Forsaken Lake and Goring 20s over the years, which has been such a pleasure to get to kind of tap into, writing show elements for those classic scare zones, as well as putting up larger scale musical productions in some of our theaters. So sometimes a year, but like John said, sometimes the ideas are floating around and it finally comes time to get the ball rolling.
So it all starts with a thought. So we're all here together and we have this thought, we have this idea, and now we want to bring this idea to light. What is the little bit of the correspondence that happens, Paul, when you get these crazy ideas that these designers and these show directors come with you? How does a little bit of that process happen? What are some things that you look at as a technical director?
So I'm typically brought in right after the creative phase of it. They come up with their crazy ideas, and they come to me or one of my counterparts and say, I have this really interesting thing I want to do. A really good example is from, what was that, the Depths maze. The designer for that maze came to us and said, I want to make a giant pirate ship. And we said, okay, we can do that. And then he said, well, I also want a giant octopus. We said, we can do that too. And then they said, we want it all to move. So from there, we have to go in and design how we're going to make a giant pirate ship move with guests on it safely. Which we were able to do, and everybody saw it. And then to add to it, there was also a waterfall.
It is true, it did move, it did have a waterfall, and it had talent on it.
We did, yeah. So, yeah, it's taking the crazy ideas and figuring out how to make that a real, tangible thing. And we have a great set of skilled artisans here that help us produce these. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't have a job.
Speaking of those, for those of you who don't know, almost all of our stuff is built in-house. So for those of you who don't know, every time you're walking in those mazes, they are built on farm by our production teams. Paul, can you tell us a little bit about some of the masterminds and the amazing talented people who are within our farm?
Sure. So within our production team, it all starts with our carpenters. And we hire, I think right now we have a staff of about 30 carpenters. So when you look around at Haunt, just remember that was 30 people that ran out there, did all of that. It's a lot of work. But they're a very skilled and dedicated crew that put everything they have into it. We then also have an entire staff of house painters here. They're all skilled in the scenic craft. I believe we have, I think, around 20 of them. And they're all over the place as well. We then have a full props department, and they not only prop the maze, but they also build the majority of the pieces that you see in the venues, which makes our environments unique to us. Then we move into our systems teams, and we have a full effects department that builds and fabricates all of the effects that you see, mostly. We have a full audio staff. We have a full
We have a full wardrobe team.
We have a full wardrobe team that produces all of our costumes.
Lighting, fog.
Lighting, we have a lighting staff of about 30 right now, 30, 35, and they take care of all the mazes and then also a lot of the atmosphere that you see in the streets. And we also have an in-house show control individual, and it's one guy that literally goes through and programs all the mazes for all of the amazing spectacles that you see.
So Karen, we know that we have the maze support staff and the Scary Farm staff. Tell us a little bit about the process of the team that you have to work with when you get a show mounted, whether it's a composer, choreographer.
Thanks, Joe. So yeah, it's always so exciting when we get to bring everybody together, and depending on what we're doing, we've got a team of show directors and different choreographers that come together to meet whatever needs for the show we're mounting. So a lot of times if it means we're working with a live band, getting arrangements done and putting bands together, or putting together an orchestra to record tracks for us, And then, of course, we come together with Paul and all of his amazing teams from wardrobe and carpentry to kind of see what scenic elements we can have to help support our vision. So we are small, but we are mighty, and I think, like everybody said, when we all come together, this whole event is really based on a large collaboration of extremely talented and innovative people.
So as you can see that we have a really good talented group. You'd say what, that there's about 200 people in production? Under 200 people bring this event together, whether it is from all of the shows you see, from of the mazes, so we are a small but mighty team that take over the park for Scary Farm. So that's a pretty cool thing, and we are definitely known to make the event fun for everybody. John, I would like to say, as a creative designer, what are some of the favorite Easter eggs you've hidden throughout the park for guests to experience?
Man, there's a ton. I think my favorite Easter egg in the current mazes, right? Or are we talking years back? Because
I'm sure we all have stories from current and past mazes.
So I'll go over a few. I think on the surface, there's so many of them.
Let's talk about the specialty thing that's in the bar at Bloodlines that ties in.
Okay.
So we can lead up
So-
to our next fun fact.
Yeah. So we all know about the Devil's Elixir, right? Like Devil's Elixir. So the Devil's Elixir, what we ended up doing, and we're a bunch of nerds, right? I'm proud to be a nerd, and I love nerding out every single time, and I'm always trying to think of, along with the other designers, like, what can we do to make this really fun, and it's almost like fan service, right? So the Devil's Elixir, which is very prominent in both Room 13 and Goring 20s, is also inside Bloodline. And if you look at the original labels in the Goring 20s that you see like on the crates where the fog machine, the fog's coming out of, and some of these Prohibition flyers that I designed, and some of the original bottles, if you look at the place where it was manufactured, it says Valdonia, which is the city in which Bloodline takes place. And so when you go into the bar, and there's a little backstory to it, right? But if you look at the bar, there is one green bottle at the back of the bar that's glowing, and it's the same Devil's Elixir that you see in Goring 20s and in Room 13. Another thing too is, it's funny, I get a chance to work on the branding of the event, right? So